Okay, good evening, class. Now let's actually start with the first unit, which is on uh, Introduction to Strategic Management and Business Policies. Okay, right? And these are the topics that we're going to cover. Right. So the learning objectives that is there. So these are the learning objectives that we have where we define concepts of strategic management, identify the phases of development of strategic management, understand and analyze the role of CG, and that's corporate governance and social responsibility, and also determine the challenges to strategic management as a result of globalization, innovation, and sustainability. So we start with the concept of strategic management. What is concept strategic management? The original name for strategic management was policy. That was the actual name. So what is it? It's a set of managerial decisions and actions, right? Which helps an organization to determine the long-term performance. And how can it be done? It can be done through external environmental scanning, which is both external and internal, followed by strategy formulation, which is strategic or long-term, long-range planning, then strategy implementation, evaluation, and control. Just formulation is not enough. It has to be followed by proper implementation of the strategy and then through monitoring. Okay, so strategic management, it focuses on integrating management, marketing, finance, accounting, production, operations, research and development, information systems, all the different departments of an organization, which helps to achieve success for the organization. So the most important thing is integration. How do we integrate, right? And it's also called strategic planning, strategic management. So why do firms need strategic management, right? Think of all these different businesses that we have in Thimphu: BNB, BTL, Drucare, Sombala, Sky Bakery, Trothier. These are some of the examples, some of these businesses. So from different sectors, um, think of it. Why do they need strategic management? Why do these firms need? Think and note it down. Okay. Next that we have is phases of strategic management. So first that we have is first there are four stages. First stage is basic financial planning, where we are talking of coming out with better operational control. How? By trying to meet the annual budgets, right? Once that is done, then we talk of a forecast based planning, where we are talking of a more effective planning for growth. How? To predict the future. Future means not the next year, but beyond that, it's long term. Then the third stage is externally oriented planning or strategic planning, where we talk of how to respond to the changes in the markets and competition. How? By trying to think more strategically. And then the last is where we talk of strategic management, where we're trying to achieve competitiveness, competitive advantage in the market. How? By considering the implementation, evaluation, and control mechanism while formulating strategy. So just formulating strategy is not enough. When for strategy is formulated, one has to think of the implementation process, evaluation, and control process. Okay, so what are the benefits of strategic management? One, the first most important is where we talk of the vision of the firm. The firm has a better vision of the better idea about the strategic vision. They have a better idea of what is strategically important, and also they are able to understand in a better way of the rapidly changing environment. Okay, now how to develop strategic plan? First is, where are we now? Okay, so it's here. Where are we now? And not where do we hope it is. Actually, where are we? Second is, where do we want to go? Like here, right? So what changes has to be made to go there? And the third is, how do we get there? The risk that is involved, the payoffs, benefits that is there. Next that we have is challenges to strategic management. Now, what should firm businesses do include in their strategic planning? First challenge, that is with regards to globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is when we do exchange of ideas, jobs, knowledge, resources, capital across the borders, across the national boundaries of an organization. And today it's much easier to do it at a very it's done at a very faster pace as compared to early days, right? So for example, when we talk of the done, right, bakeries, you see, they bring in cream, fruit pulps, At RTC, we have employees from outside. Internationally, we talk of Nike, which are producing their products in China, Indonesia, or other Asian countries. Okay. Next challenges with regards to innovation. So how much question comes up is how much do firms, would these firms spend on innovation? Think of it. How much do you think they spend? Innovation here we talk of new products, services, approaches, which will help any business to achieve some extraordinary returns. For example, like companies which has been very successful with innovation, Apple, Google, Samsung, Microsoft, IBM. So compared to them, think of it. How much do business firms spend? Think of it. Okay, next, the challenge that comes up is with regards to sustainability. What does sustainability means? It's basically talking of long-term responsibility towards the shareholders, employees, customers, and community. Yes, where companies are thriving for years despite the changes that is coming up in the externally. There are more people applying for jobs, few people resigning, where they use the concept of recycle, reuse, reduce, and also having a good trading relations amongst companies in that region. So, okay, now let's talk of these Bhutanese companies that we have and see how do they achieve a sustainability. Each company does it in a different way. Think of it and note it down. Okay, next topic is corporate governance and social responsibility. What is corporate governance? Governance is a mechanism which helps in achieving success, sustainability. How? Through a coordination between all the stakeholders, right? So, and they whereby they have to follow the policies, they have to follow the rules and regulations, right? And it has to be done in a very systematic manner, right? So let's talk of the case of Satyam's case, Satyam scam that is there. Couple of things which you have to think of is you discover when you think of this case is what happened. That's the first thing. How did it happen? Who's responsible and who are the victims? Right. Okay. Now, when we really talk of a corporation, any corporation, well, so what happened? What happens here? What when we talk of corporations? What is there? What is a corporation? When we talk of when the board has a lot of responsibilities up here for any organization. But what is an organization? Before we go into it, so it's a mechanism which is established, right, to allow different parties to contribute capital, expertise, and labor for mutual benefits. There is an owner who's getting the profits and losses, but without responsibility for operations. And you have management who runs the company, but without responsibility of providing funds. Owners are the investors. Okay, right. Now, the board of directors, who are the board of directors? They represent different stakeholders, representatives of different stakeholders like shareholders, employees, customers, government, and community. And they are the highest governing body within the management structure of a company. Okay. So, as I said, what is corporate governance? It's a relationship amongst these groups in determining the direction and performance of the corporation. What are the duties of the board? To select, evaluate, and approve compensation for CEO, to evaluate and approve dividends, approve financial statements, to recommend for mergers and acquisitions, possible merger and acquisitions, and also to guide and monitor top management. Responsibilities of the board to set the corporate strategy, overall direction, mission, and vision, hiring, firing of CEO and top management, controlling, monitoring, and supervising the top management, reviewing and approving the use of resources, caring for shareholders' approvals, and also ensuring that the organization is working as per the company laws of the place, they're following the rule regulations, and also the laws regarding the conflict of interest. Okay, so role of the board, what role do they play in strategic management? First is to monitor development is both inside and outside the corporation. Second is evaluate and influence the proposals made by the management, decisions, and actions. And next comes up is to initiate and determine the company's visions and strategies. Okay. Now, directors, board of directors can be like they can be of different types, it depending on the degree of involvement in strategic management. The worst case is low, which is passive, and the most highly active is the high. So worst case that we have is phantom, where they do not know what to do, if anything, no degree of involvement at all. Then a little better is rubber stamp, where they permit officers, that is the management people, to make all the decisions, and it votes as the officers recommend on action issues, just voting and supporting it without saying anything. Then we have a little better is minimal review, where the board formally reviews selective issues that officers bring to their attention. Then comes up is nominal participation, which where they involve to a limited degree in the performance or review of selected key decisions, indicators, or programs of management. Next comes up is active participation, where they approve, question, and make final decisions on mission, strategy, policies, objectives, has an active board committee, performs fiscal and management audits. And lastly, where we talk of catalyst, is the most highly active board, that they take the lead role in establishing and modifying mission, objective, strategy, policies, and it's a very high active strategy committee. Okay, so who are the members on the board? You have inside directors, who are the executives employed by the board's corporation, outside directors, who are executives of other firms but not employees of the of the board's corporation, affiliated directors, they are not employed by corporation but they handle the legal or insurance work, retired executive directors, that is who used to work for the corporation before, earlier, but they're partly responsible for past decisions which is currently affecting the current strategy. And family directors are their descendants of the founder and have quite a huge amount of shares. They own it. When we talk of corporate governance, there are two theories that we have to keep it in mind, plays a vital role. One is agency theory and stewardship theory. What is agency theory? Agency theory is the relationship between the agents and the principal. Principal is the shareholders or the investors. The agents are the executives. So it's the responsibility of the agents or the executives to work on behalf of the shareholders, right? Now, the problem that arises in corporations is why the problems arise, because top management is not willing to accept responsibility for their decisions unless they own a substantial amount of stock in the corporations. Okay, and here what we have is top management are who are short-term strategists with little care for the shareholders. Okay, they don't care for shareholders. So that's the problem that comes up here. For stewardship theory, what is happening up here is, here again, it's a response. Stewardship concept of stewardship comes from the word steward. Stewards are the those who are these stewards. Is the responsibility of the stewards to ensure that the customers are needs are satisfied. Now, who are the customers of an organization? And customers, it's the investors. And who are the stewards? It's the executives. So it's a responsibility of the stewards to ensure that the investors are satisfied, right? So what happens here? So here in this case, what happens is, as a result of long-term tenure with the corporations, so now the top management, that is insiders, they tend to identify with the corporation and its success. They act in the best interest of the corporation than in their own self-interest. Okay, and here what is happening is, top management cares for the company's long-term success than do more short-term oriented shareholders. Shareholders are more short-term oriented, but the management thinks of the long-term benefits, how it's going to. There the problem comes up. Okay, next comes up is role of board in strategic management, right? Now, what happens in order to be successful in an organization? So, what is needed? The board has to be an innovative strategist. So, without having an innovation strategy, it's very difficult to improve. Okay, improve on the changes that's coming up, capitalize on the opportunities which is there. Even if where we talk of the good R&D is there, where we talk of when new entrepreneur ventures are coming up, it's very difficult to capitalize on it, to come up with, if you have to collaborate with external alliances, going for open innovation, crowdsourcing, collaborating with customers. So it becomes very difficult if you're not an innovative strategist. So what happens now for a strategic leadership? Strategic leaders, who are strategic leaders, they can challenge the prevailing view without provoking any outrage or criticism. They can act on the both on the big and the small issues at the same time, change courses of action if there is a need for it. The path they take is incorrect. They can lead with inquiring as well as also implement. They can engage themselves with the team as well as command them, right? So also operating like a way in a way that to give respect to the team and also earn respect from them. Okay, so these are some of the questions based on what we have studied. You can just solve it, and this is the references that we have. Okay, so that's all that we have from here. Right. So if there's any further questions that you have, you can just let me know. And